McFarlane starting down back. Parker remaining on Richardson. Dockers to the right. Tigers to their favourite punt road end for this final term. Lights back on at the MCG. The ruckmen spoil it for one another. Longmuir down towards Shammer. Takes them on. Cracker brings him down.
He's had an amazing game. It's clearances, has Hazelby. He's had 9 clearances, which is an incredible amount, and I guess that is his great strength.
Longmuir wins it down. Here's Campbell hurrying it to centre half forward. Woods there to knock it away from Blumfield. Schultz out jostled by Cook. The soccer missed by Campbell. Here is Hazelby. Got it onto Carr. A little too slick perhaps. Tied up by Tivendale. A bounce half forward for the Tigers.
First goal so important here. Bounce outside the attacking 50 for Richmond. Margin 16 points. Ottens decisively. Campbell falling to the ground, just kicked it straight up in the air. Longmuir couldn't control it. Cracker gave it to Ottens in a confined space. He kicks inside the 50. 2 players going back with the flat of it. McFarlane couldn't control it. Chaffee socket in the wrong direction, sliding in there. Blumfield on one knee, fed it out, but straight to Bill. Chance for the Dockers. Gives it off. Shammer. Hand passes to Cook. Cook from half back goes to half forward. On the lead. Simmons couldn't complete the mark. Problems now. He fires a hand pass off. Well done, big man. Got it to Longmuir, who missed the target. Slipping over was Hazelby. Ball comes across now to Newman from Johnson. Drives it towards the outer side wing, going back with the flat of it. Blumfield. Oh, cruel bounce. Grover, Shammer. Now Woods in full stride. 60 metres out. He's a thumping kick. Sends it long down towards full forward. Simmons in front, knocked away by Gaspar. Running out of space, Brown. Tackled by Fiora. And they spill across the boundary line, complete with the football as we go down to Tiffany Terrace.
Matthew Richardson also received a bit of work on his right hamstring. A couple of times through the game I've noticed him grab it, so don't expect him to be taking any quick, strong leads.
He was questionable for this game. Dockers deep in attack. Ottens winning it down. Important ball to be won. Midhurst, a quiet day. Unable to control it there as Brown heads for the boundary line.
Just a bit surprised with the move of Aaron Sandiland starting on the bench. He was very instrumental in getting some clearances down to the hands of Paul Hazelby, which got them back into the game. I would have liked to have seen the big man starting on the ground for this 4th quarter.
Eyes up. Deep in attack again. Tigers should clear it. Campbell has Gaspar in the defensive. Goal square, and he elects to concede to behind. First score of the final term, a rushed behind to the Dockers, and the margin is 15 points.
Campbell has had 23 possessions. That's not one of them, of course, kicking in after the behind. Might get it now, though. He's away, got it back from Brown. Drives it across the ground. Blumfield up in front, knocked away by Woods. Stayed on his feet, well done. Woods hooks inside the 50. Will it get there in time? Simmons backs off his man. Just edged Campbell underneath it. Arms fully extended, but he's got the footy. Paid the mark.
Just here, thanks, Darren. We're on mark the line.
Simmons has booted 3. Watch it again. Well, maybe Campbell could have come back a little bit harder. But Simmons, a lot riding on this kick in both camps to make the margin 9 points. Distance will not be a problem. Troy Simmons from 35 metres out loves it off the boot. He's got his 4th.
Well, they're playing like winners at the moment, Swatter. They may not go on and win, but they certainly have given themselves an opportunity, which halfway through the 2nd quarter looked a long way from coming to fruition. They have been as bad as I've ever seen them play in this match, and all of a sudden now they're turning around and playing some quality footy.
And they could rue the fact of a poor start. You've got to come out and give yourself a chance. They don't get over the line, I'm sure that they'll regret that 1st quarter.
And this is happening on the half-back flank for the Dockers, and every time the Pavlich tries to push up into the middle, Bowden goes towards the goal square. So at the moment, Richmond are controlling that matchup.
Pavlich averaging 23 possessions a game for the season, just 10 today. Shelby Dance. Margin back to 9 points. Head-on slips. Walker doesn't. Carr quickly towards half forward. High ball. Bell knocking it on. Polak just trying to caress it out wide. Hazelby lost out. Tivendale. Kellaway. Campbell steadies. Looks for options. Long handball. Johnson has Schultz at half forward. Richardson one out. Goes to the ladder. Free kick. Parker's way.
A big danger for Matthew Pavlich, of course, when you've got somebody as talented as Bowden close to the goals, as he becomes a goal kicker. Try and sneak off for possession. He can hang around and also hurt you on the scoreboard.
McFarlane. The Dockers having erased 30 of the 39 points deficit in which they trailed in the second term. This is Kelvin Moron for the first time today, and he does well to knock it to Campbell, for Bowden to fall forward. McFarlane reading it well, just held off Schultz, doubles back and takes a relieving mark.
They certainly look better, Wayne, with McFarlane at centre-half.
He has. He's been pivotal to the side, getting back in the game with him at centre-half back.
Nothing much on offer. 9 points the difference. All the time in the world remaining. Eventually squares it to Parker. Longmuir breaks towards the construction side. He goes short to Brown. The kick didn't carry. Cracker works double time. Ties it up. Ball up inside the centre square.
That wasn't our time.
I mentioned this before. The Dockers just have a habit that's not so flash. When a teammate's in a contested possession, they tend to run wide of the contest. You've got to get in their space. Two players either side there, Paul Hazelby. You've got to get into his face front and square to give your teammate an option of getting the ball out.
Cook in all sorts of trouble. Another bounce. A real tug-of-war at the moment. Otten's in front. Flicks it out wide. Campbell played his heart out, just pitches it inside the 50. More slick hands. Brown in terrible traffic, laid it off to Cracker. Buys some space and time for Tivendale. Goes with the right boot and misses.
Well, Brown just looms as the danger man for the Dockers. They've just got to make Peter Bell, I think, it's just got to become more accountable. Forget the attack, just go straight on to Brown.
Pavlich to a 2-on-1. Man in front, Schultz.
Stay there.
His 5th mark for the day. None more important than that right now. Might go backwards, needs to be precise to haul, and he is.
Back to Brown.
He might drive it long. Inside the 50. Dockers, Polak filling the gap. Ball clears his head. Bowden a chance. Bounce important. Pavlich does well. Mown down by Moore, but affects a boundary throw in. And for the Fremantle Dockers in that situation, a good result. Eight tackles to none in this final term from the Tigers. There's a couple of them in that passage. Ottens and Longmuir wrestle. Bowden knocks it forward. Longmuir caught. Shammer trapped up on the boundary. High kick. Tigers with numbers. They'll win out. Tivendale. Here's a chance. Hall gets by Brown. 55 out to the goal square. Ottens or Richardson off hands. It's a behind. And the lead is 11 points.
Dion Woods was very good there. Looked out of the contest, but just pure desperation to make sure that somehow he got the ball over the line and did a terrific job in doing that.
Amazing game of football. You wouldn't think the same two teams that started this one. The Tigers had their moments early, but now both of them fully committed. Pavlich told to hurry up. Kicks outside the 50. In from the side there, Longmuir fell in front. Bowden wanted too long. Wrestled down by Cook. Out of the congestion, Hazelby boots towards half forward. Simmons taking the ground. Brown been handy, chips inside the 50. Newman stumbles, gets away from Farmer, but not Brown, who kicked it in. Farmer's got it now, gives it to Headland, right on the 50, pulls it back across his body. 2-on-1 down there. Kellaway in front's built the mark. Pettifer gets the crumb, lays it off. Newman looping hand pass, releases Brown. Brown a searching hand pass out in front. Johnson's got it now. A runner free forward of the wing. Big Brad Ottens lines up the 50, thought about kicking, takes on Polak, stumbles, gets a hand past Tippendale, kicks inside the 50. Well, as it turns out, outside the 50.
We know what you mean. Grover goes backwards. Woods. Short, Longmuir in space. Now, Cook or McFarlane will be his targets initially. Longmuir loping away. Goes to McFarlane. Has Schultz to beat. Big contest. McFarlane wins it. Dockers building. Cook running. Closing. Kicking long to the goal square. Farmer, they need you now. They need you now, Jeffrey. And he kicks a goal. Points the difference here on Fox Footy Sunday. Don't forget, after the game, Jared and I staying with you for our digital subscribers for our exclusive Fox Footy Active Wrap. We'll hear the live press conferences of both coaches, and they're going to have a lot to talk about.
A couple of changes being made. Sandilands onto the ground, and Headland comes off the ground to be replaced by Cunningham. Richie.
Jeffrey Farmer, important goal, finding his demons. Of course, the Tigers, just 5 points the difference now. 65-60. Thriller at the MCG. Rucks go out at Sandilands. The backhander intended for Hazelby. On his knees, Stafford over his shoulder. Pavlich swooping on the loose ball. Runs to the wing, kicks it down towards half forward. Plenty of Tigers around it. Here comes Farmer again. He's inspired himself. So much so he left the footy behind. Well done by Hall. Got it away to Newman. Sweeping hand pass. Campbell. Fiora's running. Wants his left side. Slips a hand pass away. Hardigan arches the back. He's on the wing. Charged down by Walker. The ricochet came back towards Johnson. He's upended. In goes Chammer. Gets the hand pass to Bell. Claimed from behind by Cracker. And we'll have a ball up. They're playing for keeps now. Just the way we like it.
They've kicked 8 of the last 10 goals. Have the visitors. Richmond, questions about their mental fragility in recent weeks when they fall behind. They're still clinging to a lead, but it's tenuous, and Schultz is lifting. Wait for the Richardson lead. He's the only option there. Schultz goes long to him. Polak filling the gap, takes the mark.
Stay there.
Goes wide for Cunningham. The springboard from defence for Fremantle.
He's got no one to give it to.
He might have to go for the boundary line at half forward. He got a block from Simmons. Carr running with him. Farmer wants it at centre half forward. Still no options. Squares it up. Not a good kick. Farmer putting the pressure on here. Hailing the cab. Doesn't win the free. Let's check in boundary side with Tim.
What did you want?
Matthew Richardson very hesitant to do a lot of running. He keeps indicating to his right hamstring.
Wrestled out of it there with Parker. Dockers need a goal to take the lead. Kellaway. Wide for Tippendale. Farmer. Renewed enthusiasm there. Mowed him down. No whistle. Play on. Newman for Kane Johnson. To the attacking side of the wing for Hall. Polak, the general of the defence right now, affects a boundary throw in.
I think it'll be a good time to count the endorphins. The number 33 for the Dockers. He's overloaded. He's over-caffeinated. Boundary throw in the attacking side of the wing, but he's doing his job. He's getting involved. Sandlands knocks it down. Pavlich knocks it to Bell. In turn to Shammer. Clever. Into the path of Hazelby. Kicks inside the 50. Hangs a long time in the air. How will it bounce? Leading back is Pettifer. Coming across on the angle. Cunningham. Hit the base of the post. Got the back bit.
Okay, Greg. I'm watching. If there's 2 actions, you get the free. He's just holding it. If he pushes, you get a free.
Listening to the umpire talk there to Greg Stafford as we have another look. Missed it by that much. Wow.
Often the hardest goal is the last.
Yep.
One that gets you in front.
Tigers this quarter 2 behinds. Dockers with 2 goals to 18,666 here. Watching a thriller, watching the Dockers come at Richmond with everything. Longmuir, the tackle's not sticking now, to fall forward, and oh, he's had such a quiet afternoon. But now Paul Medhurst, yes folks, he is playing, and he could give the Fremantle Dockers the lead.
Another one of those Dockers players is this man on screen who's got his side back into the game. Justin Longmuir is showing nimbleness on his feet. He's got himself a fair bit of the ball, and this man here put his name up in lights. As you said, he's had a quiet afternoon, but this is his role.
No, go back. Go back. Hurry up then. Come on. Time
3 possessions he's had, Paul Medhurst. 3 kicks, 2 marks.
But this very important kick coming up. The Fremantle Dockers trailed this match by 39 points. Playing in a venue that they have won at just 3 times. Fighting to maintain their spot in the 8. And Medhurst to try and put them in front. Can he do it? No. Way out to the left. Out of bounds on the full.
Well, he just hasn't thought that one through. Spent a lot of time, but if you check most other set shots for goal from that end, you could see that it was going to swing pretty markedly from right to left. So you've got to factor those things in, and pressure can rob you of logical thinking.
Wine.
Got into his move early.
Yeah.
This is it.
Still in the dressing room.
Wine, keep coming. Thank you.
Now on that way.
Yes.
Yeah, maybe.
Campbell out of the back pocket then. Lights are on. Up very high was Schultz, stolen away by Hazelby. Puts it back inside the 50. Cook. Still Cook. Lays it off. Carr from 35. Dockers in front.
And right now the man with the petition is saying, sign here, please. Good heavens above. Gentlemen, did you see this coming?
Well, that's fair to say I didn't. I've got to say that I thought it was an inept first half from the Dockers. I was disappointed for Connolly and for Dockers fans because it just looked as if they were throwing away a season and 18 months of great work. But this is the sort of stuff that you can build a great challenge on.
They've kicked 9 of the last 11 goals.
I'd like to say I saw it coming, but I can't. I'd be lying.
Now the onus on Richmond. They've stopped to a walk. Who will lift them? The skipper going crashing into the ruckman. That won't help. Hazelby to half forward, man in front, paid the mark. Polak. Headland leading into space. Polak to he and Simmons. Headland!
That's it there. I guess as much as you couldn't imagine the ferocity and the turnaround in intensity for the Dockers, you just couldn't imagine that the Tigers could go so badly after a start.
No.
And now all of a sudden Headland can extend their lead to 8 points. And the situation, like the light, would be very grim indeed for Richmond. Headland comes in. Kick it goal on its way. He's got it. And the Dockers lead by 8 points.
Well, the value of the big man in the centre square, getting it down to his gun midfielder, Sandlance. You know, that man there on screen.
Here he goes.
Didn't get it initially, but there's another clearance. Great mark by Polak again. But it's a terrific protection here by Troy Simmons, allowing Desi Headland to back with a fair amount of confidence. Just impeded Darren Gasper's run at the ball for spoiling. And a great finish.
One of those situations you would have gone off to the nursery midway through the second term as a Dockers supporter and not believe what your friends are telling you after the game. This is remarkable. Dominating now. Confidence on the rise, but still bear in mind plenty of time. Let's see what the Tigers are made of. The challenge fairly and squarely with them. 11-7, 9-11. Rucks go at it. Sandilands. Hazelby again. Shammer couldn't control it. Diving in. Killaway. And it's locked up.
And I think importantly, Dennis, they've got themselves back into it, not by the efforts of so much of their best player or the one with the biggest reputation in Pavlich.
No.
It's been a shared workload.
Punch out by the big man. Walker, good shepherd from Cook. They've got the appetite now. It's amazing. Kick to half forward, sliding in Longmuir. The Tigers now confronted with a situation of trying to stop a runaway train. Confidence, a remarkable thing in football, and it's running just for the moment with the Dockers. Tigers need a spark. Longmuir kicks well inside the 50, close to the boundary line, contorting. Simmons reaching over the top of Gaspar. It's out of bounds. It'll be thrown in. 73 plays 65. 6:44 remaining. Otten's in front. Simmons doing the rucking. Ottens knocks it down. Close to the boundary line. Johnson to Pettifer. Gained about 5 metres. Kellaway taken to ground. Feeds it out to Johnson. Gaspar gave it to Campbell. Buys some space for Tivendale. And Tivendale is running.
There's a man leading towards him on the wing. That's Stafford. Kick in his direction. Well, McFarlane was always going to be too nimble once it hit the ground. He is. Grover bangs it back inside the 50. Tigers with numbers. The bounce important. Favours Fremantle. Simmons to Sheva. This could be the knockout blow. Sheva's got his second. Fremantle now lead by 14 points, and with 6 minutes to go, crisis for Danny Frawley and the Tigers.
I think what we've seen at the moment, Jared, this will do, providing the Dockers win this match, this will do their confidence the world of good. The simple fact of how they've gone about getting themselves back into the match, like you said, without too much of an influence from Matthew Pavlich, but it's just been on the back of a lot of hard work, pressure and a willingness just to do the simple things and do them very well.
Just saw him on the phone. I think he was arranging to sign that petition himself. 12-7, 9-11, and the Tigers have simply stopped. Sandilands and Ottens. Ottens knocks it down. Hazelby again. Tried to dig it out. Cook. Sweeping hand pass out wide. Chopped off by Brown. Now a chance for the Tigers. Brown wants to take them on. Spots a man inside the 50. Or did he? Well, Hazelby has dropped back into the hole. It was a missed kick from Brown. Barely the 15, but Hazelby has been wonderful in the second half. Comes to Headland. Hazelby 30 possessions now. Headland coming up for his 17th. Very wide, but this time with some conviction. We talked about their width early. It was a problem, but now it's running down the clock. Walker's got the footy. Little chip pass. Medhurst.
Back a metre.
He's about 80 metres from goal to Cook. Oh, it might be over. Cook 60 metres out to the pocket, all too easy, and Cunningham will turn around and I venture to say have a shot at goal. And if he sinks this one, the Tigers will be sunk.
You can, yep. Just looking down the track to September finals on the MCG and also on Subiaco, of course. Polak at centre-half forward. He just looks the likely type, the guy that's capable of taking those marks across there. And McFarlane has been superb across the half-back line.
Cunningham, 40 metres out, gives it a ride. Can't ride it home. Behind.
And full credit to Shane Parker, who the coaching structure stayed by, and he has done the job for them after half-time. Kept Richo pretty well out of the match.
Campbell goes short. Johnson back to the skipper. Makes him wait a moment. Under enormous pressure, Richmond High. There is still time for them. Need 3 goals. But it's all Fremantle. They've got the wall set up here. And Dion Woods takes the mark. They can take 20 to 30 seconds with every possession as Headland tries to shrug off the crowd. Short kick. Just okay, McFarlane.
That's it.
Winds another 10 seconds off the clock. He can go out wide. Tigers have simply got a man up here. Simmons now. Might even go backwards. Elects to go short. Grover. He will go back to Simmons. Where is this manning up from Richmond? They've chewed up a minute off the clock. What an impressive victory this would be. It would restore their place in the top 8 and would all but kill off Richmond's finals hopes. Down to 3:20 to go. Simmons long to a contest near the boundary. Off hands. Headland's got it. Hyde with the tackle. Bell. Hazelby 31st possession, high one inside 50, and waiting back there is Brown. Tigers, time to go now.
Only 2 goals since half-time for the Tigers. Brown to Johnson, at centre-half back, but we're under 3 minutes, and the crowd sensing that. No real urgency in the Tigers, though. They're having trouble running with the Dockers. Here's Hall coming away from half-back. High ball, indiscriminate ball, just bounces inside the 50. Richo, one last gasp. Half smothered off the boot. Back goes Dion Woods. Oh, he's opened the door. Down goes Tippendale. Slings a hand pass back towards Moore. Kelvin Moore right on the boundary, pulls it back. And a great mark is taken by Richardson. 15 metres out, needs to get back and kick it quickly, but then again, we're dealing with Richo, so not too quickly.
Clear it out, Troy, out of the big area.
There's got to be an optimum time.
His return today, 4 goals for and 1 out of bounds.
Oh, Richo. Tiger hopes riding on this kick. Richardson comes in, doesn't let them down, gets the goal. 5.
Well, we've seen some finishes on Fox Footy Sunday this season, and there is still 2 minutes remaining here. We'll be in Adelaide next week for the Crows and the Bulldogs. Still 2 minutes to go, though, gentlemen.
There's still time, but this is a massive centre square bounce, and I just think what we've seen so far with the big fella there, Aaron Sandlands, expected to go down the throat of Paul Hazelby. That's not to say the Tigers can't do it. It's a big ask, though.
2 minutes, 8 seconds, 9 points the difference. Centre clearance important. We'll have a second bounce and the clock will run.
Many hands.
Dockers getting numbers back.
Yeah, Graham Polak's just been instructed to go back to centre back. They've got a loose man down there to block up spaces. Grover's issuing instructions. Troy Cook's pushing back to the half-back flank.
Signs of anguish in the box. A free kick. A Richmond free. Should have been advantage play on. Cracker was running. He'll go now. Tigers still with time. Richardson on the lead. Cracker towards him. Richo goes through his hands. Doubling back. Cook under pressure. Gets by the attempted tackle from Richardson. High one to the wing. One-on-one. Longmuir and Hall. At the back it goes. Hall, they need you to stand up here. He does well. Gathers, gets by a couple. Kane Johnson now. Handball to Roden. He's quick. Kicking very wide. Fiora there. Goes through his hands as well. Brown applies the tackle. A bounce. And you fancy their best chance might have gone through the hands of Richardson a moment ago.
And 2 times they've gone wide with their chances at the goal rather than hitting the goal square.
Low scoring game, and they led by over 5 goals, the Tigers, and this is now playing into the hands of the Dockers. In a pocket, plenty of players around the football, and the clock continues to run, at least initially. It's stopped now on 56.
And there's a man whose life will be enormously better than it was some 3 hours ago, given the turnaround after half-time.
Got a particularly good bounce, Hazelby. Hasn't he been wonderful around the stoppages? Headed for the boundary line. Johnson sprays it across the face, out of bounds on the full, and that should be all. The Dockers with a chance now just to run down the clock from this situation. Bell is on for the short one. Tick, tick, tick. Bell's got it now. In the opposite pocket is Shammer. Doesn't use him. Oh, needs to be precise. Got it there, Parker. We're down to 25. This has been a big win by the Dockers. And you've got to say they had the opportunity to fold the tent at halftime and they chose not to. Hazelby, fitting he should finish up with a football. What a second half he's played. He's been inspirational. And I think he's a bit of a protege, isn't he, Jerry?
Well, he's a tremendous young player.
Chris Connolly hoping his voice carries. Kick goes down towards half-forward Simmons. Wants a late goal. Wants number 5. Lines up. It's on the wing. It hit the post. It matters not. The siren's gone. And the Dockers have won. They've climbed out of a deep hole they dug themselves. And they've won by 10 points. They've bucked the odds this afternoon. The Dockers win their 7th.
And I reckon they emerged from the hole about 5 minutes ago prior to half-time where they just got a couple of goals. I think it was Troy Simmons that stood up first. Hazelby, I think, has been good pretty much all day, but dominant in that second half. But what a turnaround it was. Chris Connolly I don't think there's any doubt he must have laid it on the line for a few at half-time, because it's one of those moments where he's invested a lot of faith in the likes of Headland and Farmer have been just ordinary, to say the least. And I think his exuberance and his enthusiasm was one of the key factors in turning it around late.
One of the stars for the Dockers. He kicked 4 goals. Troy Simmons, here he is with Tiff.
Well, Troy, they earmarked you as a key forward for this year, and you certainly delivered today.
Yeah, I started off a bit slowly, a bit flat in the first quarter, but worked my way into the game. And the boys, after a bad start, played some good footy, and it was a real gritty win.
What was said to you after half-time? There was such a massive turnaround.
So we were getting plenty of the ball, Our tackling was really good all day, so that was one of the main focuses we have, and yeah, we just used the ball a bit better, and the guys really, it was just a really tough fought win. It was probably a bit of ugly footy, which we knew with the weather, and they delivered. It was really good.
Did your coach get stuck into you at half-time, you guys?
Oh, he was pretty good. He said we were a good chance. We didn't lay down. We slowly fought our way back into it, and if we just concentrate on the structures and get everything right, we can beat them. So
he actually said to me before the game that with the conditions and being away, this was a great opportunity for you guys to answer your critics, and you've done that. Yeah,
it was. We were pretty disappointing after the Essendon game. It was a big build-up for that Friday night game, and we let our supporters and team down, and so we had to bounce back, and good to get a win away.
Well, big match next week. Good, best of luck. Thanks for joining.
Thanks, Tiff.
And that big match at Subiaco on Saturday night as they take on Port Adelaide. Reward for the fans, that some of whom made the trip here, others part of the small Dockers support base in Melbourne. But great to see the players recognising their support today. Jeff Farmer, well, he provided a spark there, it's fair to say, during that second half comeback. As the Dockers, 39 points behind, 24 minutes into the second quarter, come back to win by 10. And your heart goes out to Danny Frawley, because the Tigers season all but officially over now with 4 wins and 8 losses, and they squandered a big lead today.
Yeah, that's the second week in a row they've got themselves into a very strong position throughout the course of a match, only to allow both sides, the Kangaroos last week and now today, the Dockers, to completely overrun them. 3-5 after half-time, whereas Fremantle were able to kick 9-5. But as Jared mentioned before, Jeff Farmer only managed the 1 goal, but I think most impressive was his defensive work. Worked extremely hard when he didn't have the ball and tried to keep the ball in there, and they're things that they can work with. Matthew Pavlich's input was next to minimal. They're pleasing with Graham Pollock, going down to centre-half forward. As you said, looks likely to take a strong mark up there, but I think, look, the value of Troy Simmons, he was instrumental in them getting over the line today, and also big Aaron Sandilands and Paul Hayes will be a good combination of them.
I thought Brown was really good first up. I think that their tackling was poor, in fact, in the first quarter a bit. I know Troy thought that perhaps the coach had said differently, but the stats and just our eyes tell us that they were well and truly off the mark. But it was Brown that, Dennis, I think, set a trend there, and a few blokes followed.
Early on, he was terrific, wasn't he? And I think Justin Longmuir played his best game in a heck of a long time. 23 possessions and 10 marks for Justin Longmuir. Shammer led the way at half-time, had 10 possessions in the second half, and Hazelby around the packs was quite outstanding. The number of times he got first hands to the football, not always getting the clearance, but just jamming it up and buying some time. He finished with 32 possessions. These are scenes we haven't seen for quite some time. It's been a long time since they've had much success here in Melbourne. Bear in mind, their first game ever was at this ground against Richmond, a better Richmond team, I think, than the one we saw today, and they lost by just 5 points.
12 first possessions at stoppages, Paul Hazelby, and they'll benefit a lot more from a win like this, Dennis, than a win where if they had have come to Melbourne and just exploded and beaten Richmond by a dozen goals.
That's the win you celebrate long and hard with, don't you, tonight? I mean, you know what it takes to get up in a football match from the situation they were in. The other side of the coin, I mean, you wonder about Richmond.
Yeah, you do. I think one of their problems is they haven't got a second rotation through the middle of the ground, and you do see them blow up after half-time too often. But they're a club that really is just going sideways to downwards at the moment.
And this club now, well, on their way to September.